Hey everyone, so I did a reading on Corey Goode. If you don't know who Corey Goode is, he's a person who he's popular for being on the show Cosmic Disclosure, where they talk about all sorts of conspiracy theories and aliens. Well, it's mostly around the idea of extraterrestrial disclosure, the information being released, and whistleblowers coming forward who have been part of things like the Secret Space Force, or the Secret Space Force, and things like that. Or sorry, the Secret Space Program. I don't know. It's called something like that. I can't really remember for sure. But anyways, regardless, I think it's either SSP or SSF. No, I think it's SSP. Secret Space Program. That's what it is. Sorry. But anyways, Corey Goode's had a lot of controversy, and he was on the show, and then the show erased all of his videos, and now he's not on the show. However, he has a big following, and some of the episodes with him are still out there on the internet, and you can still find them. That's how I found out about him. Um, and so there's a lot of controversy about him because he tried to trademark certain words like 20 and back and secret space program, which are terms that he uses, although he wasn't the first one to use these terms. And if he's a whistleblower, then these are coming from somewhere else other than him. So it's controversial why he would have the right to do so. And so there's a lot of controversy. Is he telling the truth? Is he not? Etc., etc. And there's all sorts of ideas out there. I don't want to get too far into it. And I wanted to do this reading from a neutral perspective going into it. So I tried to brush all that aside and do the reading from a neutral perspective. So I wrote out some stuff, which are my notes to help me kind of remember what I read. But before I go into that, first I want to mention that I started doing a reading on him in the past. And just about every single thing that I was reading had to do with money and him making money. So I kind of went into this reading already having done a little bit of reading, knowing that there's a lot going on with him, specifically with money. And this was before I even started looking up all the crazy stuff about him. But regardless, I know that's a thing. So I'm going to carry on from there. So the first thing I was saying was him writing checks out to people. And this was kind of like a business deal of some sort. It kind of had a Mafia-like vibe, for lack of a better word. It was very serious. He kind of had like this whatever attitude. He's kind of like, yeah, like here you go, like whatever, like kind of over it, even though he was the one making the deal. And when I tuned in deeper, what I got the sense of was that this has something to do with, and this is kind of an approximation, but it's something to do with him making a deal to kind of keep himself safe financially and to kind of save himself from losing what he's gotten. I also what came up next for me was him in his private life with this boy, and I I don't think this is like representing his inner child as a boy. I think this is more like someone else, like that he knows, but I think it could represent both on some level. It could represent a boy like in real life, but it could also represent like his inner child, if you want to call it that. But anyways, he's happiest in his private life when he's with this boy. And I was getting that he's very quiet, um, and he likes going on these like boy-like adventures, kind of away from other people. Keeping his distance from other people seems to be a big thing here. He's very, I don't want to say antisocial, but kind of antisocial. Not interested in other people at all. Really just keeping to himself and this other boy is the way that I was seeing it, at least symbolically. And he's trying to kind of get away from people, and it's almost like he's running away from people on some level. I also got the sense that he's willing to pay people to get off of his back, to get them to kind of leave him away, like literally willing to give them money. The boy in his life is more important than anything else, and it kind of reminded me of the way that some people who have a dog that's like their, their best friend's dog, and they take their dog everywhere, and they kind of do whatever they want. Like if the dog wants to go over there, they'll go over there. It kind of, but basically, it was this boy that kind of just like leads him around, and it was almost like he was, his social life was more wrapped up in this child than it was within anything else around him within like the adult world. And I saw him going to places like the river, doing very quiet, kind of introverted activities, being in nature, and just really enjoying, walking around on a riverbank. Not so much the type to skip rocks, but like that type of scenery. But I see him being a little more passive than the type of person to skip rocks. And this, not that he's passive, but in the sense that he's, just kind of casually exploring. And he's showing this boy things, but he's also being guided by the boy. And he sees eye to eye with this child, but then the public, the general public, it's almost like he's running from them, and it's like they're bad and they should be avoided, and he's like kind of programming this child to kind of view it that way as well. I get the sense that he, Corey Goode, as a person, is very calm, quiet, and depressed on some level. And I was getting the sense, I was seeing him like it was very small, and it was like everything else around him was getting big, and it was like he was small like a mouse, and he's feeling very small. So when I tuned more into cosmic disclosure, I was like, okay, tell me about cosmic disclosure. I saw him being disgraced, and he doesn't want to look at what's going on. It's like he's kind of just walking off, storming off, doesn't even want to look around his shoulder, and he's angry. I got the sense that he's like a fool, like he's been fooled, he is the fool, but in his mind he feels like he's been ripped off. Like if you were to make a foolish move, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, but then you fail and you feel like you got ripped off, even though at the same time you were kind of the fool, which doesn't make you feel any better, it just makes you feel even more ripped off. That's kind of the sense that I'm getting, a sense of failure in relation to cosmic disclosure. And there's this embarrassment specifically being covered up as anger. So behind the anger, There's like just embarrassment, and he doesn't want to be seen and trapped. Like he's trapped in this. But at the same time, there's this sense of him giving up, walking away from the situation in anger. And the way that I saw it, and this is more symbolic than literal, although it could be literal and symbolic, but I saw the cosmic crew, and I don't really know who they are. This is more symbolic than literal, but I just saw people like with their arms crossed, you know, standing kind of, you know, harsh, I guess you could say. They're playing hardball with him, so to speak. They're questioning him, and they're definitely being critical towards him, like a critic would. And specifically, I got them kind of implying, "We don't believe you," towards him, or like, "Prove it to us." Like, we're not going to believe you until you prove it. Type of mentality coming from them. And I saw him frantically and emotionally, like almost like hyperventilating, kind of like running away, and like just like his world has been shattered, and almost like he can't look back, he can barely breathe, he can barely take care of himself emotionally from this experience. And there's a lot of this victim mentality going on with him, where he feels like he's been, well, he feels like, not that he's being victimized by other people, but regardless in the situation, he feels that he is a victim, if that makes any sense. So when I tuned into the secret space program, SSP, I saw him, in relation to him that is, I saw him crying, falling to the ground, and this is not literal again, dying, turning into a skeleton, and then this flower grows out the back of his head, and like he has like this, and at the moment that the flower grows out the back of his skull is after he's dead. And this doesn't make sense, but this is just kind of what I was saying. He has like this kind of like stupid smirk on his face. That's the best way I can describe it, as the flower blossoms. And so what this kind of vision means is that there is beauty within the lies. So so I got the sense that he was fearless, like he was not afraid of most of the people on the show. But specifically, I saw him like ducking and hiding as if he didn't want to be seen by Jason Rice in particular. He was a little bit brought back, and Jason Rice was a person who said very similar stories to what he had. Like they're very similar, and I get the sense that he just didn't want to be seen by him at all. It was like too much, yeah, too much potential for something to not work out in his favor. However, and I'm not going to speculate on that because I want to just say what I read only. Regardless, I did see him being a little brought back by Ricardo Gonzalez, and he's the one who talks about being contacted himself. He wasn't part of any sort of secret space program or anything through like military or corporate control. He was just someone who kind of spiritually opened himself up to these things. And I see him being a little brought back from him and causing a little bit of self-doubt for him. Maybe because of the nature of this person and kind of what he's about and how it kind of correlates to a lot of how Corey Goode says kind of semi-spiritual type of statements similar to that. That is me speculating, though I did not read that. Moving on, I do see him with Dr. Robert Wood, who is more of a kind of intellectual type of person. I see him being confident around him. When I asked about him in relation to Emery Smith, I saw him as kind of like he's like looking down, he's like almost like picking his nails, kind of like almost like he's trying to distract himself. Although there is a little bit more confidence around him, there's also just like kind of like this irritated presence, like kind of just like like this one of this person go away, you know, like as if he's sitting in a chair and Emery Smith is behind him and he's just like this sucks, when will this end? And I got the sense that he likes David Wilcock. Jay Weidner. So after David Wilcock was the host of the show, then Jay Weidner became the host of the show. And I got that Corey Goode hates Jay Weidner. Like, he's very, very angry at him. Just the death glare is what I was getting from him towards Jay Weidner specifically. But he likes David Wilcock. So that's interesting. So when I asked more about like what is this, like maybe like is there some truth to what he's saying, I don't know. I can't necessarily say that there is or isn't 100% like one way or the other. But I did get that he has a belief in what he is preaching. But I also got this sick feeling, like a sick feeling in my stomach, which was kind of like the sick feeling he was feeling of being trapped in lies about himself. And so what I got was that there is a spiritual compulsion within him to voice things that he believes in. And that's kind of where he was intentionally coming from, but like it kind of went too far and became exaggerated to the point where he kind of found himself being a fool caught in his own exaggerations. Ungrounded idea of promoting ideas lead into picking sides. Like he's picking sides of an argument or kind of acting. In other words, picking sides, making statements based on these ungrounded ideas that aren't really something he actually knows about, but just to kind of solidify something to make it seem more real. He did that, which was him kind of picking the side and acting. But in some sense, he kind of got all trapped in this with the justification. I'm not saying this is or is not justified. I'm just saying from reading him and his energy and his auric field or his mind, however you want to say it, the justification that kind of led to all of this was that he's taking all the information of disclosure and he's compiling it into one story to be like the ultimate disclosure, filled with all sorts of truth And it's almost like he's just kind of taking notes from other people, and he's like, I'm gonna take this and that and this, and I'm gonna like condense it all and make like the ultimate version of it. So in some sense, there's truth to him on that level, but ultimately I get the sense that he was trapped in exaggerations of the truth and lies, specifically regarding him and his specific experiences and claims of what he has done in particular. Not that there isn't necessarily some truth to some of the things he's saying. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not going there today. I'm just reading him, just to clarify. So anyways, that's my reading on Corey Goode. I hope that didn't upset you too much. If it did, I'm sorry. That's just what I'm getting. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you get notified when I make a video. If you would like a private reading, I offer those from my website, which I will post the link to my website below this video. And if you want to learn about how to meditate and tune into your own auric field and your own energy and learn to develop your intuition, I have a Patreon page you can join as well, which I will post below this video also. So check those out, and thanks for watching, and have a great day.